You shall ask, what good are dead leaves? And I will tell you, they nourish the sore earth. You shall ask, what reason is there for winter? And I will tell you, to bring about new leaves. You shall ask, why are the leaves so green? And I will tell you, because they are rich with life. You shall ask, why must summer end? And I will tell you, so that the leaves can die.
It says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything that you do flows from it. Everything that you do. Yeah. Everything that you do, your actions, your attitudes, your actions that are good and honorable. Your actions that might be a little bit immature, offensive, or destructive. Thank you very much. It also affects the way that you see. Your heart affects how and what you see, how you see the world around you. No, she's done. This guy's up now. The way that you see, interpret events, the way that you see people, the way that you see people in here. You walk around with glasses that represent how you see people. But it also affects what you say. Good job. Guard your heart, for everything that you say, all the words that come out of your heart, all the you know what I'm trying to say there. The way that you respond to people, the way that you talk about others, the way that you talk about yourself. It says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything that it affects everything that you see, say, and do. Let's give them a round of applause. You can give her that stuff back over there. Okay, your heart is the wellspring of your life. I want to read through a few cards. One says, I am not worth it. Oh my, another one, I am not worth it. I am not good enough. I am broken and not worth putting back together. Have you ever been kept up at night with any of these thoughts rolling around in your own head? You're laying on your pillow, and you might have your own statements. How about this one? I'll never amount to anything. I'm not able to be loved or accepted. I wasn't smart enough. I'm not good enough, and I don't know who I am. I am nobody, and I can't make it. Now, these are beliefs that people have made about themselves. Some of them, many of them, come from people just like you. These have been written down by adults, pastors, moms, dads, grandmas, grandpas, kids. These are real statements that people have written down about themselves. And as we go about our life, the reason we write these things is because as we go about our life, our hearts are affected by the words and the actions of others. We started to talk about this last week or 2 weeks ago, by the things that people do and say, and sometimes even by things that people don't do or don't say. Have you ever thought about that? That your heart can be wounded by something that somebody doesn't do or say to you. But if we don't resolve these issues, they will begin to start to shape the direction of your life and what you see, say, and do. And you'll begin to find yourself on the path of the unthinkable, doing things that you never thought yourself would ever do. But these unresolved wounds not only affect us on the outside, they begin to shape the way that we see ourselves on the inside, turning into self-proclaimed identities, and identity drives everything. Now, I know a couple weeks ago some of you said that, well, I don't think I have anyone to forgive. I'm good. That's what most people think. But maybe your coach has said something about you after a game that led you to believe that I don't have what it takes. Maybe you have a friend that excluded you or talked about you behind your back, and it led you to believe that I am not really valued by them. Or maybe a parent has said something in anger that stuck with you even 5-10 years later, and now you carry the thought that I am a failure. And maybe you've never actually met your parents, and because of that, you believe that I am unwanted. Here's the thing, wounded hearts lead to wounded and broken identities. And if you've been carrying around anything like that in your heart, then you do have someone to forgive. But identifying these things is part of the process that leads to forgiveness. On your seats, you have a card, and there's a pen on every other seat. I want you, don't put your name on it, I want you just for a moment to think about a belief, a negative belief that you may have felt or believed about yourself in the past, or might even be believing about yourself right now. Room stays quiet. You're going to keep this to yourself. The small group leaders are going to come over here to this side. But think about a false belief or a negative belief that you might be carrying in your heart right now about yourself, or maybe you've carried that in the past. Do it quickly, and then fold it in half and pass it all the way to your left. And nobody's going to open it and look at them. Silence. What thought about yourself might be floating around in your head, keeping you up at night? Or maybe something in the past. It could be something that somebody actually said about you to your face. Grab them, fold them in half, pass them to the left as quickly as you can. Just keep passing them. And whoever's on the left of the aisle, you can also continue to collect those as well, and then they're eventually going to make their way into a bucket up here on stage. Give yourself about 10 more seconds. I'm told to tell you to look for the bucket and pass it down. So if the bucket might be coming down the row on your right-hand side, grab that and continue to pass those to your left. In these buckets, listen up here. In these buckets are going to be decisions and beliefs that everybody in this room has made about themselves. Go quickly, even if you have to skip the person, you can skip. We'll just get them all down here. Yeah, keep going. It's not difficult. You guys are going to be adults soon. All right, now bring all those buckets up here. Even if we're not fully finished. Awesome, thank you. And then as you come up here, just keep dumping them into these, just keep dumping them in there. All right, here's from your friends and cohorts and other people that you may not even know in this room. No one will care if I die. That's a belief that someone in here has about themselves, maybe in the past, maybe right now. I'm not good enough and I can't do it. I'm not worthy of love, of her, of God. Anything I do, I'm unworthy. I'm not smart enough. That was cursive. I'm not ready. I will never be good enough for them. I'm not good enough for them. Everyone else is better than me. I'm not suited for football. I am never worthy of love. I am too fat to be loved, and I have no empathy for others. I'm not worthy of living or receiving of love or a significant other. There's a lot of identity statements that we have carried in our hearts, and this is only 120 of you. And they're all in here. And just in case some of you knew that you got yours in this bucket, I am not respected. No one loves me as much as I love them. I'm unlovable. Do these sound good? Here's a question. Where did those thoughts and beliefs come from? Who put them there? And when did that thought that you have, that you wrote down, start? And where do you think your life is headed when you believe that about yourself? Now, I don't know everybody in here. I don't know most of you. I've seen you around, maybe when you're smaller. And I don't know where you are in your spiritual journey, and I don't know what you are storing in your heart. Here's some proof of what's in your heart. But maybe up to this point, you've been stuffing some pain, hoping it will go away. But here's what I want you to continue to understand. I said this last week, and I'll say tonight. Until you heal your hurt will hold you hostage. You're like, well, I'm not responsible for this. It's true. You may not be responsible, but you are responsible for pursuing God for your own healing. Now, here's the point of tonight. Most of us were never taught how to respond when someone hurts us or says something about us or to us in a healthy way. And so we're just left to react with whatever shows up first. Now, let me ask you a question. When somebody hurts you or offends you, when somebody betrays you or breaks your trust, when somebody causes pain in your life, how do you respond? What's your first response? Where do you take your pain? Because listen, pain demands a response. And unprocessed pain will always find a way out. And if you don't choose your response, your pain will choose it for you. And so tonight I want to briefly talk about 3 directions that you can take your pain when somebody hurts or offends you. This is not only just in the past or maybe something that could happen tomorrow, but also 20 years down the road. And I hope that everybody walks out of here remembering this sermon series, not because I did it, but because of the topics that we are discussing. There are 3 places, 3 directions that you can take your pain when somebody hurts or offends you. Number 1, you can take it outward. What's outward? Well, one of the ways you might be dealing with your pain is by sending it outward. Instead of dealing with the hurt in a healthy way, we start to push it out onto other people. We spread it. We vent it. And sometimes we fire this like a weapon, and this can show up in a lot of different ways in our lives. Sometimes sending it outward comes out through harsh words directed at somebody else, speaking in ways that's meant to cut them or wound them. We might be very overly critical about the other person, and we might toss out snide remarks, and sometimes this comes out as gossip. Who knows what gossip is? If your hand is not raised, wake up. We start talking about the person who hurt us, telling others what they did, venting our instructions about what they did, talking trash behind their back, maybe making things up, exaggerating the story to make them look bad. Sometimes we fire it out through retaliation or revenge. When somebody hurts you, revenge feels like it might be a good response. I'm going to retaliate. I want revenge. And we look for ways to pay them back. You hurt me, well, then I'm going to hurt you. And where do we go? We start taking subtle shots, posting things on social media meant for everybody else to see. We start to rally friends on our side, build an army, sending group texts, screenshotting conversations and forwarding them to others, sometimes trying to destroy that person's reputation. How many of you know what I'm talking about? And when it's about you, it feels terrible, and that hurts. But here's the problem with retaliation and outward directed pain. It may feel powerful or satisfying in the moment, but it doesn't solve the problem. We just make it worse. And we know that. We make it worse. And we know it. And it doesn't heal anything. Instead, it spreads the infection further and deeper, and then you become an infection spreader, damaging other people and pushing relationships even farther apart. Have you ever heard the statement, hurting people hurt people? We've all experienced that. Question for you, when your heart is hurt by somebody else, are you sending it outward? The second direction that we can send our pain is inward. Another way people deal with this pain is by sending it down deep into our hearts. We absorb it, we bury it, we stuff it, we try and carry it alone, hoping that it's going to go away, but it doesn't. And sometimes sending it inward just looks like silence. You don't actually talk about what happened out loud, but in your mind, you replay it over and over and over again. And you tell yourself things like, well, I can handle this. It's not a big deal. I just need to move on. But we can't move on. And other times it turns into self-blame. We start believing the problem must be with us. Maybe I did deserve it. Maybe something is actually wrong with me. I must be at fault. Other people might lean toward withdrawal, pulling away from people, because if no one gets close, then no one can ever hurt me again, so I'm going to withdraw from people. And I begin sitting alone at the lunch table, or isolating myself to my room, or isolating myself away from other groups of people. You ever wonder why some people tend to sit alone? Some of your friends or some people sit alone. They might be carrying some hurt. But here's the problem with taking your pain inward. It doesn't heal the wound, it just settles it deeper into your heart, growing deeper into bitterness and sadness and anger and anxiety and depression and hopelessness. And whether you send it outward or bury it inward, eventually you're going to find yourself looking for ways to numb the pain, because when that pain sits in your heart long enough, it becomes heavy. And when pain becomes heavy, your heart begins to search for relief through distractions, through substances, and for some, by hurting themselves. Sending your pain outward damages other people, but sending your pain inward slowly damages you. Unprocessed pain always finds a way out, and if you don't choose your response, your pain will choose it for you. And so where are we supposed to take our pain when somebody hurts us, when they wound us, when they say those piercing words? Where do we take this? We got to take it upward. This doesn't do anything. This begins to do something. We take it upward. In the book of Psalms, there's a passage that says, I cry aloud to the Lord, and I lift up my voice to the Lord for mercy. And I pour out my complaint before him, and before him I tell him my trouble. He's not saying, go tell your friends, pour out your complaint to your friends, not your coworkers or our social media followers, not to the group chat, not to the private TikTok group, if that exists, if that's a thing. He's saying, no, I'm calling you to take your pain higher. Take your complaint higher. Come to me with this, to the one that can actually bring you healing and freedom. Another passage in Psalm says, we trust in him at all times. Pour out your hearts to him, for he is our refuge. God is your refuge in your pain. A refuge is a safe place that you can find healing and restoration and safety. Your friends can support you. Some of your friends are trustworthy, but God never intended your friends to carry the weight of your pain and the weight of your heart. He wants you to bring that to him. And when we bring our complaint out to him, we pour out our pain to him, in faith and in trust, we are declaring that, God, you are my safety. You are my help. You are the one I depend on. I'm coming to you for healing. And when we do that, a few things begin to happen. First, it starts to bring clarity. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, sometimes we start to feel a lot of emotions, but we don't really understand why. It's just chaos inside. But as we begin to pour out our hearts to God and bring our pain to him, what feels chaotic in our hearts begins to take shape. In our thoughts, they begin to settle because we're naming them. In our emotions start to make sense because we're naming them, and we're starting to be able to Take inventory on why I feel the way that I do when this person is around. And second, it begins to relieve the pressure inside. How many of you have somebody has said or done something to you that just makes you so angry, and it's like you can feel the pressure building up? But when we bring our pain to God, the pressure, it starts to go away. We stop carrying this alone. Now listen, it doesn't mean that your circumstance is going to change overnight. It doesn't mean that the other person is going to change, because they may never will. But something inside you begins to shift. And third, what begins to shift is you start to receive His comfort, His peace, His perspective, and His guidance and His love and care. When we go to God with our pain, He's not asking us, He's not saying, hey, I need you to pretend that you are okay first. He's not asking us to say that everything is okay. He's just inviting us to stop pretending and stop performing and come to Him exactly as we are, so that He can begin to heal what's really going on inside of us. But the truth is, if you never take your pain to Him, whatever you never give Him access to, you're going to keep carrying yourself. Let me ask you a question, actually two questions. Where have you been directing your pain? It's rhetorical, keep it to yourself right now, but think about when somebody hurts you, or maybe the pain that you've been carrying up to this point in your life. Where have you been sending it? Outward, gossip, retaliation, revenge. Inward, bearing it, pretending everything is fine. Where are you taking your pain? Second question, is there a wound that you've been carrying that you haven't brought to God? Something somebody said. Your dad, a coach, a teacher, a friend, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, an ex. When it comes to forgiveness, when somebody hurts you, bringing your pain to God is your first response. But it's not your only response, and we will talk about more of this next week when we talk about what forgiveness is and isn't. But pain that stays hidden in your heart becomes poison. But pain that is brought to God becomes the beginning of healing. As I come to a conclusion for the night, I'm going to guess that maybe 50% of you have this with you. The other 25%, it doesn't matter. We got a lot of these things. I want to clear up a little bit of questions that people had from last week. 2 weeks ago. Fresh Start is all about processing the issues of your heart. Give me 2 more minutes before you wiggle and talk, okay? Fresh Start is all about processing the issues of your heart. Part of the tool of Fresh Start is about forgiveness. We haven't hit that yet. Part 1 of this booklet is if you are actually wanting to walk through this process on your own, Part 1 is all about identifying what you've been carrying in your heart as far as those wounds or offenses. We're not asking you to forgive yet. We're not even asking you to identify anybody that you need to forgive, but we're just saying, are you carrying in your heart? And Part 2 kind of continues that. Part 2 is all about how's it affected you? How did what your dad say to you affect your thoughts and your feelings? Okay, it's identifying and taking inventory of those things. And tonight we started talking about part number 3. Well, how have you responded? Where have you taken your pain so far? Here you start to list out what are the things that you've said. Have you been a gossip? Have you spread hate and negative words about other people? What have you done? What are the negative things that you've done? The passage on the top of this page talks about the word offensive. And then what have you decided about yourself as a result of that pain? A lot of our false and lies about our identity come from something somebody did or said or didn't do or didn't say to us. These start to form in our lives. That's part 3 is all about. And then part 4 is us beginning to go vertical, taking our pain upward. Lord, this is how I feel about this whole situation. Next part, these are my unmet desires. I wish this would have happened or would not have happened. We're pouring it out. We're pouring it out because we all have desires and how we wish things would or wouldn't have happened. Part 3, these are my current desires. This is what I hope happens. You put whatever you want there. He already knows what you're carrying. He just wants you to tell him. And we didn't spend much time on this last part here, but this last part about giving thanks is all about surrendering this whole situation to him. That's going to position us to be able to walk into forgiveness next week, which I'm really excited about. And then in week 4, we're going to give you a chance to actually put everything that we've been talking about into action so that maybe you can start to experience freedom in a couple of weeks from now from something that happened to you maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. Maybe something that happened to you yesterday. Okay? Something's going to happen in the future. But before we do that, before we head into small groups, I want to give us the opportunity to do something that I hear you've been trying to do over the last year or so. I want to give us a chance to worship. Because when we worship God together, we are worshiping the God who sees every hurt, every disappointment, and every offense that you are carrying. And as of tonight, as we sing, we are singing about how grateful we are that we can be free from these things. And when we worship together, it prepares our hearts for the freedom that we experience through the one who forgave us first. So let's go ahead and stand up and worship together.